How you doing?
I'm doing well, John. How are you, dude? Having
Fantastic.
sweet. I'm having difficulties with my camera at the moment, so you're just gonna see darker, no mask or nothing.
Well,
Just chilling. We'll get that up set up. But yeah, I'm interviewing everyone that's on the Surrect Fest bill with the Wu-Man Chu Chronicles every single week, every Monday. And what I'm doing is I'm raising funds for the comedians and the musicians on the bill, as well as um, the bartenders at Smitty's Greenlight Tavern because of COVID,
right.
and the staff over at the new Grindhouse Cafe where we're gonna have everything at because it's gonna be all ages and we were uncertain at the time if Smitty's was gonna open up in time, but I'm
Right.
glad they are. So they're gonna be opening up in like 2 days, so that's good.
Yeah, it's a little strange right now. We're still kind of we're hoping everything stays, moving in a positive direction, but you know, cautiously optimistic for the near future as far as shows go around here.
Yeah.
Um, so what is the latest on that? We're doing Sureth Fest at the Grindhouse now, or are we back at Smitty's?
We're gonna just have it all at the Grindhouse
Oh, okay.
this year. Um, so we might have it all outside
Okay.
with social distancing, 6 feet apart, all that stuff.
Right.
If worse comes to worse, we'll have just your fans. Well, like for the music scene, like part, we'll just have their fans in attendance because they'll be there. Just like we'll have like a guest list and stuff, but we're gonna be very cautious and masks and wiping the mics down and everything if we need to. Hopefully, if that's so we can get the show on the road because postponing again, it was like just it broke my heart when I had to postpone it. But
Well, yeah,
everyone,
it's a pain in the dick too. If something comes up and you've done all this work for all your printing says one particular date and everything you've posted so far, you just start from scratch.
yeah, but that's life, and we just gotta do what we can do, and so I'm also hoping to help the causes for everyone, and everything goes back to normal. But we're gonna go to talk about you and your journey as everything you've done for the town. Are you ready?
Sure, man. I'm John Brown. I'm a comic. I don't know, Sareth. You tell me. What do you want to hear from me?
We'll start off with your stand-up comedy career.
Okay. Uh,
And
well, I started stand up about 9 years ago here in Pueblo. I did my first set at the downtown bar at a show that was booked by Charlie McMullen. And if you don't know who Charlie is, you need to educate yourself because he's the best. Um, and I pretty quickly fell in love with it. I just it's my favorite thing that I've ever done. So I stuck with it, kept going to different open mics around Colorado, um, and just went from there. It's been about 9 years, and now, um, I have my own show here in Pueblo, Spirit House Comedy, which I believe is scrolling down here. That's pretty neat. I've never been a part of. Look at that! Oh, there it is, Spirit House Comedy. um, but yeah, check it out. We do a show every month. We had to take 4 months off because of the stupid virus, or three, maybe it was three. But we're picking right back up this month on the 18th with Charlie McMullen on Saturday, and same thing. People have to wear masks when they come in the building and interacting with staff. And thankfully, the Spirit House is a nice big venue, so we're able to sell 100 tickets. I'm not doing any kind of guest list or free tickets or anything like that. It's limited seating, social distancing, blah blah blah. But we got Charlie coming in to headline that one, so it's nice and full circle.
absolutely, that's great, and I was honored for you two to be part of my roast, and I think about it all the time at the downtown bar. And
Oh, sorry about the coughing. I have baby lungs. um, Roasting is one of my favorite things to do. And that was one of my favorite roasts I've ever done. And it had long-reaching implications. Uh, it was so much fun. I'm glad that you had such a good experience from that.
Oh heck yeah, dude! I share it with all my friends here in Florida, and
Uh-huh.
they just go, "Man!" Like they say, your segment stands out more than anybody else's because like you really go in for the kill on everybody. Like their favorite joke is like that Mike Sword joke about him being like the brownest white, like a white supremacist march with the bricks and everything, and that joke still holds up. That's good stuff.
Yeah. I always say if you don't have John Brown on your roast, you're only pretending to have a roast because I go hard on the roasts.
Indeed. So good. And while you were doing stand up in Pueblo, you were part of the Steel City stand up on and I remember catching shows at the Impossible Playhouse. And
Yeah.
how did you get involved with that?
That became kind of that was just like a team up between me and Charlie and a couple of the other Pueblo comics, Garrett Waller and Liz Benfield. Eventually, Wade Ridley came on, um, and we were just trying to just produce shows and have fun. And it was kind of becoming something where we had our T-shirts and merch and website and all this shit. And it was just kind of the first stab at doing this on a little bit more of a professional level, at least for appearances' sake. Um, we were super inexperienced, and I kind of laugh at those days. Those were our ignorant youth.
Indeed, absolutely. They were some great shows though, for sure. And
Oh yeah,
yeah,
good times.
indeed. And you also joined up with some film folks later on from Colorado Springs and with Charlie called the Thompson Boys. Make some noise. What were those days like?
That was wild, man. That started out at the Studio A64, which is like one of the first cannabis clubs in America. Um, and that was just a show that we put on. It was me and Charlie and Ben Verbeck and Casey Dean Fraze was the core group. And Dave Frost was kind of ancillary. He came in a little bit later. But yeah, that was just a series of shows really that we were doing, and that started to become a thing where we were going to take it on the road and do like cannabis shows and advocacy conferences and stuff like that. So that was really my first road experience was with the Thompson Boys. We went out to Kansas City, Missouri, and we were in town for less than 24 hours, but I don't think I've partied that hard in my entire life. We showed up maybe 15 minutes before showtime, rocked out the show, and then just went and partied in Kansas City, slept like 2 hours, turned around and came home. It was nuts. So Thompson Boys that's some of my favorite times from doing comedy so far, for sure.
Absolutely. And you've been all over the place, like you mentioned, in Kansas City, Missouri, and there's a lot of shows that you've done in like Southern Colorado as well, like out in the out in the boonies. What were your favorite ones that you were part of that were out there? That
Oh man, out east of Pueblo, about 2 hours, is a place called Lamar, Colorado, and it's just a tiny little town. And the people there, they always show up for the shows. They've got a rocking sense of humor. They're ready to party. They're ready for a good time when you get out there, and those shows are just always really incredible. In fact, I need to get in touch with those people. It's been way too long since I've been out to Lamar, but they treat us like rock stars, man. We go out there, we rock a show, and I try to bring them high quality talent for a decent price, and that's kind of my MO anyway. I'm a blue collar guy myself, so I try to stick to blue collar shit, and I like those little towns like that don't, maybe they probably don't have a local comedy scene, so something like this is a little out of the ordinary to them, and they deserve it too.
absolutely, you got to hit up all those small towns in between the big cities, and you'll never know what you'll find. So
Oh, I've had some adventures out there in the sticks, let me tell you.
indeed. What are you like outside of like Denver and all those other big cities like Colorado Springs? Like where else have you performed up north in Colorado?
I went to Windsor, Colorado for Mel Clemma a couple of times, or well, at least once. I've done a couple of shows for her up north there, and those are always really good shows. Very kind of affluent, more of a white collar crowd. So I make a lot of old ladies blush at those shows. But I went to I did a show Salida, Grand Junction. Yeah, I've been around. I don't travel out of state as much as I'd like. I've been to Texas and Vegas for comedy, but that's it.
Yeah, I think
I'm
I
just
remember.
kind of starting. I was just kind of starting to strike out on the road more. I mean, I just got back from Texas right before the quarantine started, so it was just kind of everything was put on hold right then.
Dang, that's pretty wild. It's it breaks my heart that it puts a hold on stand up and all the arts actually. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
and I remember. Oh, go for it.
Comedy, I think, is kind of at a disadvantage as far as being able to sit at home and do comedy in front of your computer. You know, that it's just not the same vibe. For me, I get my juice from doing comedy from the face to face interaction. So I haven't been able to find an adaptation using my web camera that gives me the same juice. So I'm self-conscious that my beard is like sticking. Anyway, yeah. So that's kind of where things are right now. We're cautiously opening back up, and I'm starting to look at getting back on the road and things. So here we go.
Absolutely. What are some of your favorite memories of your Pueblo days, like show wise?
Show wise. Well, probably the first show that we did with Sam Talent down here in Pueblo was my first time meeting that dude, and Sam is, I mean, he's just infinitely beyond myself as far as his experience and wisdom and capability on stage, and just about I look up to that guy immeasurably. And we had him down at the Impossible Playhouse for a show way back in the early days, and that's one of my favorite Pueblo experiences. We did a couple of fundraisers for Caleb Medley after the Aurora theater shooting, since he's a stand-up comic from Aurora. He was an open micer, and he got shot during that, and unfortunately, things are very rough for him. He survived, but anyway, look into Caleb Medley. He could still use your help. But of course, Sureth Fest, doing Sureth Fest every year, man. There's always good stories involved with that. It's neat to see the local scene get together, musicians and comedians, and mix everybody up and just kind of get together and support each other. I think Pueblo could use a lot more of that, and that's one of the reasons why I'm just more than willing to do whatever to help out Sureth Fest every year.
Man, it means a lot to both Wu-Man Chu and myself and Sureth. And you're right. It's like it's a cool thing that it brings everyone together, and whether it's downtown in a bit or in a basement doing stand up for like 9 people, or in a bar or something, it's always a fun time.
Yeah. Well, and the people that do show up to those, I think are like the highest quality audience members, you know, because they're just like, yeah, hell yeah, they're game to go down in a basement when it's 1,000 degrees outside and listen, you know.
Indeed, man, those were the days for sure.
Dude, that was like 6 months ago. What are you talking? Where was that last thing that we did at the Rage Tone? That wasn't that long ago.
That's for sure. I can't believe it. Like time flies. It's nuts for sure. And but man, when I move back, we'll definitely have like a resurgence for sure.
Of course.
Absolutely.
Are you planning on coming back to Colorado?
Absolutely. I was planning on moving back in July, but COVID hit, and so I'm thinking, well, since I'm pushing back in September, I might move back in September. Yeah. Who knows? But like wherever the cards may fall, I'll just move whenever. Now it's just like whatever happens. But I'll definitely fly out there if worst comes to worst. But I don't mind a 30-hour drive.
Are you gonna throw a bunch of? Are you gonna throw 3 or 4 going away parties when you move out of Florida?
I tried that. Yeah. Like I'll throw one in Jacksonville, one in Orlando, and one in Daytona, and just call
Attaboy.
it a day. Yeah, man, they love me out here, and I love them too. It's
Everybody loves you, dude. I'll make fun of you. I don't hold back making fun of you, but you know everybody loves you.
indeed, and that's what I love about you, John. It's like you just don't hold back, and I love I love getting roasted for some reason. I don't know why. I think it came from you guys. And like all the cool cats that roast me from the stages here, I was like, man, it means a lot because like I stand out, to them.
Yeah, man.
But they pick on me from the stage, so I don't mind it at all now. Oh man, but and you spoke of the Aurora days, and was it like on with the whole shooting with the open mic comic, but you lived out there in Aurora for a couple months or so. How was that experience like in the Denver area? Good and bad, I guess.
Well, personally, it was a rough time for me personally. Sorry, dude, my fucking hair is like out of control today. It was a rough time for me personally because I'd lived in Pueblo for 30 years, and I was moving away. I was going to Denver to pursue comedy, because Denver has such a huge comedy scene. And right when I moved up there, uh, my girlfriend in Pueblo got diagnosed with cancer, and I had just put all my eggs into the basket of moving up to Denver. And so that was really difficult. And then I just didn't do as much comedy as I wanted to while I was up there. So, and then circumstances, things were really popping off pretty good comedy wise in Colorado Springs. So I was doing most of my comedy in Colorado Springs anyway. So just after about a year, it just made more sense for me to move. And I went down to Colorado Springs for about another year and ended up back in Pueblo, man. Um, and I think I've carved out a pretty nice little hole for myself here where I've got my own little thing and I'm controlling it and it's going pretty well. As long as the virus doesn't kill everybody, I'll be able to keep that going. So the boys over at the Spirit House have given us a nice home they seem to like what we do. So here we go.
Indeed, they've always been a supporter of, Ben and Brian and Keith have always been like supportive of our comedy adventures. Like we've had the roast there at the downtown bar,
Yeah.
and all the epic shows of stand up at the Spirit House. So I'm glad they are keeping the comedy scene alive with you, and it's very classy venues too, by the way.
Oh yeah, the Spirit House is beautiful. It's a classic old theater. It's been there since I think it was built in 1911 or something like that. So you can really feel the history of the place when you're in there, and it's huge. So there's plenty of space to spread out and get comfortable. One of the main things you said, Brian and Keith have always been supportive, and they have. And that's one of the main things that I like about working with them is if they don't like something, they don't bullshit you about it. They'll come straight up and be like, I don't like that joke. I don't like that person. I don't like the music or whatever. They'll tell you and make sure that you come to an agreement before it goes. So I like that about them because I'm a no nonsense type of person myself. So I'd rather you say it to me than say it about me. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, and they go right for the to the point. And man, and there was a lot of theaters back in the day at the old Spirit House when it was the old Damon Runyon.
Yeah.
And circling back to like Sam Talent in your early days at the Impossible Playhouse, I know that you are part of the board back then or still now, I'm not sure. Players.
No, I'm only kind of I'm behind the scenes mostly now. I don't participate as much as I used to. I was vice president of the board. I was on the board for about 3 years of the Impossible Playhouse, and stand up just took over. I started doing so much more stand up and when I moved to Denver, especially, I just didn't have any time to devote to the theater. But since I've been back, I co-directed a play with Johnny Lucero called Five Lesbians Eating a Quiche, which was a great show. It was so fun. I got to work with, five really talented, really strong, powerful women, and there were a lot of clashes and a lot of lessons learned, and it was a super funny, super just great show. And so, I love that place. That was kind of my second home after. Um, it, it was like I found a new family when I found the Playhouse, and so a little piece of my heart will always be there. I'm on the schedule to direct another show this year, but as far as theater goes, I think directing is where it's at. That's what I like doing. I'm a control freak.
Indeed. What other shows have you directed? Plays and all that good stuff.
I directed a show called Incorruptible, which is about French monks in the 1300s, I want to say, who start selling the bones in their graveyards as saintly relics. It's a comedy. It was a lot of fun. Charlie was in that. Charlie was the lead in that. He knocked it out of the park. And then I was the assistant director for a show called Night of the Living Dead. It was a stage production, and we did some really cool filmed elements that we showed up on the screen, like some old school George Romero type footage that then would lead into the action on stage. And I directed that footage, which was really great. And some of the footage that I directed actually ended up in a movie called Dock of the Dead that was on Netflix, which I was really like, holy shit. But it was a documentary about zombie culture, like throughout America, and they found this footage that we made and asked if they could use it. So that was pretty cool. And then they have their award ceremony for the Playhouse every year, called the Precious Pretzels, and for several years I've been asked to help write the presentations and like present the show, host the show. So that's pretty great. I love doing that because that's when everybody's together. It's a big celebration and it's just a love fest. So you get everybody from all the different productions throughout the year and you hand out a bunch of stupid awards and everybody pats each other on the head and says what a good special boy you are. And then we get drunk. So
Awesome. That's good stuff. I remember going there for like the 24-hour film festivals and such
oh
when
yeah.
Hope had them. And then, were you ever part of those film festivals and stuff? Like, whether it's writing, directing, producing, acting, etc.
That's actually how I met Charlie McMullen, was on a 24-hour film festival shoot. Him and Paula Beta were doing a thing, and I just remember I played a prisoner and I got murdered on screen. So I was like in jail and this lady stabbed me on screen. So I was like really geeked to like be in a film and get killed on screen and all that stuff. It was really neat. But that's how I met Charlie, and that's honestly how I got involved in the Playhouse. Mostly was through that shoot because Charlie and Paul were in the Playhouse. Most of the people that were on the shoot were in the Impossible Players, and that's just kind of how I got involved. And since then I've worked with Charlie on a few projects. There's stuff you can see on YouTube as Evil Mutant Rats Part 2. If you look that up, that's one of my favorite things we've done. Simple Little Robbery, which I think is available on Vimeo now. You can watch it on Vimeo. I'll send you links or something. I don't know how this works. Do people come back and watch this after the fact, or is it just live and that's it?
Both. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's surprising to see how many people actually come back and watch like 30 views after there's like no viewers in the room with us. So I'm just like, wow, people actually watch these interviews, and it's good stuff.
Sweet. Well, Simple Little Robbery was really fun because it was like this really dark, noirish, like caper film that we did with Luke McMurtry, and that got accepted to a film festival, and me and Charlie got to go to the Alamo Draft House and watch ourselves in a movie on the big screen and see our names in the credits and everything, and we were crying like little kids, and it was so fun. So film-wise, that is my favorite project. Was Simple Little Robbery, for sure.
Man, That's so awesome. I was gonna bring that up too as my transition. So I'm so glad you touched base on the A Simple Little Robbery, because I talked to Luke and stuff about it when I interviewed him, and so it was awesome. And I'll be interviewing Frankie. I'm one of the actors that was in the movie as well with you this weekend. So
are you connected with Key at all? He's the other. He played Teddy. Yeah, I get their names mixed up.
Indeed, I'm not, but I'll probably connect with him when I move back to Pueblo or something like that.
Oh, for sure. Key's really prominent. He acts a lot, but he's based out of Colorado Springs. So yeah, he's gonna be. I'll hook you guys up. He's gonna be somebody you want to talk to. He's a cool guy.
Sweet, that's good stuff.
Not that Frankie isn't. Frankie's all right.
Indeed. Yeah, we message each other on Facebook and stuff like that, and he's like, "How do I prepare for this?" Like you did, and it's like, I know it's like a foreign thing now. It's just like, so I had to let him know the rules and how it's all set up, and it's still foreign to me too, and trying to figure out.
I'm the worst too. I don't have like promo shit, like a bio and a press kit and all that stuff. I don't have any of that stuff. And the closest thing I have is stuff that you've actually made for me and then sent to me. So that's like the only, yeah. I don't promote myself very well. I promote my show, and I don't even really put my name on the show except as the host. So
Indeed, we'll have to work on that then. I'll hook you up with the press kit.
You're on my team, bro. You're my PR guy. You're my publicist.
I'd love that. Yeah. A lot of like, my friend Anna here. She's like, she wants to hire me too, and I'm like, I just want like room, board, and that's about it, and like travel. And I'm
backstage passes.
Yep, I'm pretty cheap like that, and I don't know. I don't ask for funds or nothing like that. It's just like, if you're my pal and you've been on like throughout the past many years since the beginning, why would I even charge you for like a press kit? You like, and all that stuff.
That's what it's about. I've always respected your hustle, dude, because like you're posting like backstage photos from concerts and shit, and I'm like, Surratt's got it nailed. Like he goes to all this shit as press, and then he just gets to geek out and talk to his favorite musicians and stuff. That's great. Yeah. That's the way to do it, man. Indeed. I don't know if you did it as a scam or if it was if you're legit, like, nope, I'm a journalist.
Yeah, like I went to school for it, and like I got hooked after interviewing 303, and then like going out to LA, it was just like heaven. And then I just like sent in my credentials, and they were just and being associated with Clive and everything, they're like, yeah, absolutely, here's tickets and photo passes, and they just threw them at me, and I'm like, this is fantastic. So I just started doing that while I was out there just to kill some time. But it was definitely good times indeed.
So wait, you're associated with Clive
Barker when I was his apprentice.
So. You were Clive Barker's apprentice?
Yeah, like from 2009 to 2013.
No way.
Yeah, it's out of this
world. I'm giving you a hard time, dude. You know that's like my favorite. One of my all-time favorite authors is Clive Barker. So we've geeked out on Clive Barker many a time.
Indeed, absolutely.
Clive Barker was honestly, like, I'll tell you straight up, I come from like 90s football culture, right? And back then, at that time in that place, being gay was like considered weak, and that was a slur on you. If somebody said, oh, you're gay, that's gay, whatever. And Clive Barker was one of my all-time favorite authors since from the time I was a kid. I found out about him from Hellraiser, started reading his work, and just I loved Clive Barker, still do. And then I found out he was gay. And there was an initial like, oh, what? And then right away it was like, well, so how, like, it was a quick mental process of like, how does that affect me or my enjoyment of his work at all? It doesn't. So I don't give a fuck. He was an inspiration to me as like a guy living in that world to like figure out how to not hate on gay people. You know what I mean?
And
So Clive Barker is valuable to me in that way, not just because he's a good author, but because he taught me a lesson about how I can just being accepting, you know?
absolutely, and he's a down to earth guy too, and that's what I loved. It was like just him shaping me the way that I should be, like being like an artist and a writer and all that, photographer and stuff. I learned all that from that guy, from building sets and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So he definitely taught me a lot out there in those 4 years, and it's good times indeed. I love the guy.
Well, next time you talk to him, give him my Instagram. Tell him to hit me up. I want to ask him some questions. I heard he got the Hellraiser property back.
Oh, that's fantastic.
I don't know if that's true or not. It's just from some horror movie websites and shit that I watch. Sorry, I'm dying. It's like 95 degrees in Pueblo right now. I don't know what it's like where you are, but it's horrific here.
Man, it's rained a couple of times, like a lot, like the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it just had like 2 days of sunshine so far, so we're like in the 90s too, but it's not too bad. I got some sun like the past 2 days, so that's nice.
So what's going on with Sereth Fest this year, dude? It's all ages now, huh?
Yeah, because like the youngest musician is like 14 years old, and
Okay.
he's like the drummer of a band called New Era, like the baseball cap. And so I was like, how am I gonna help him get his fans into a venue? Because like we can't get him into Smitty's, and so every time like the young folks have like a band, I always have them at the Hanging Tree or at Rage Tone Manor when it was around.
Yeah.
And so and like when I talked to Adam over at Smitty's, he was like, yeah, we don't know when we're gonna open, and we had to reschedule it, and I'm glad we did, but now that they're opening up the day of Sereth Fest originally, I'm like, crap, well that bites,
Right.
And so but I'm hoping to do like social distancing, making sure everyone's safe, temperatures, if we need to. Hopefully this thing calms down a lot. But worst comes to worst is we might have to live stream it, and I don't like live stream stand-up comedy shows at all. They're just horrible.
Yeah.
I've been a part of one, and I'm like, I can't do this anymore.
I mean, if it
like
comes to that, I'll still do it. Don't think I won't do it, but I'm not a fan either. So tell me again what the new dates are.
We're gonna have them September 16th through the 20th.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm glad I asked because I don't have it on my calendar. Event Sereth Fest. All right. Sorry, this shouldn't be done on the air. But here we are. This is a rare glimpse. 16th through the 19th, you said?
20th. Your performances are on the 20th, though, because there's 2 dates of comedy.
Well, I got the whole thing blocked out, so boom.
Awesome, fantastic.
Yeah, dude. What else you got?
I was checking out your live streams on the Spirit House Facebook page.
Yeah.
And I watch your videos, and sometimes I interact with them whenever I catch them live. And you said that you put a music video in there, and you said everyone to click on it, and you'll see you in the music video.
Yeah.
What music video was that, and how did that happen?
Okay. No, that's so. All right, Sereth put me on the spot. That's from my Juggalo days. It's called Party at the Liquor Store. The artist is ABK or Anybody Killa. And we you asshole. My ex and I was probably 22, 23 maybe. And we went to an autograph signing, and it was supposed to be at Angelo's Music at this mall. I forget where. And there was so many juggalos there, and they were so rowdy that the mall security was like, we're not doing this like this. So they made everybody go outside and line up outside the building, and then the autograph signing took place like in the loading dock of the record store. And while we were standing out there waiting in line, ABK himself came driving by in the car and he stuck a video camera out the window. And I was high out of my mind. And I think I was just like, I had this pocket full of really good weed. And during that time of going to concerts and stuff, we would always bring like a little extra weed. And we would go to one of the guys at the door and be like, hey, I brought a gift for the fellas. You mind if I give it to him or whatever? And sometimes the guys would just take it from you and be like, yeah, thanks or whatever. But most of the time, especially at those smaller shows, they would just be like, yeah, come on back. And they would escort us backstage and we'd get to meet the fellas and all that stuff. And so I was like, yo, ABK, where we smoking at, dog? And it showed up in his music video. Like 6 months later, it came out and caught me by surprise. I got a call from one of my Juggalo buddies, and he was like, hey, you need to go check it. I had to go to the record store and buy the CD because the shit was not on YouTube or any of that stuff at that point. This was like 2002, maybe. But yeah, it was. That's kind of my little guilty little secret that I show people every once in a while when I'm feeling mischievous. But it's not a moment that I'm particularly proud of, but I just think it's amusing that it's out there. The track slaps too. Like you should listen to the whole video. Party at the liquor store.
Indeed. That's pretty awesome. Oh man, and the Juggalo scene in Pueblo is pretty awesome. They have like underground shows there, and I noticed that you always are part of their whenever they have a production, you're part of it in some form or fashion. And,
yeah, there's a bunch of guys in that scene. I mean, it's almost a misnomer at this point to call them juggalos. They're just kind of independent rappers in their own right at this point. And they are juggalos by the strictest definition, but for the most part, they're taking that energy and putting it into their own thing, which I totally respect. And it's exactly what I'm trying to do. So, some of them are legit, like super legit rappers. There's a few of them, like I get tired of going to those little, I participate less and less because I get tired of going to those rap shows and guys plug their phone into the sound system and they're just kind of doing karaoke over their own. Like they don't even have an instrumental track of their shit that they're actually rhyming to.
mm-hmm.
They've got their track playing and then they're on the microphone. That I don't like that shit. And I'm getting old. So if I don't actually like the music, I don't want to be around it. So I spent I've done less and less of those shows. That sounds like really negative way to talk about those guys, but there's enough of them that it keeps me coming back. When certain dudes hit me up, I'm there for them every time. I've got one coming up for Sarge in Colorado Springs. I can't think of let me give him a shout out here. Hold on a second.
Indeed.
Stand by, Sareth.
I'll definitely. Well, Sareth is here. Wu-Man Chu is, John.
Oh, sorry. You have the least, like the least protected secret identity ever. Ace Loan Pawn Shops presents the sun. Here, I'll put it on the. Can you even see that?
Somewhat.
Summer Showdown 2020. That's going to be on the 7th. Where is it at? Mountain High Radio. I'm on this crazy lineup. Sarge. Fuck, dude. APOC is on. Oh shit, APOC and the Whoop What family are going to be there. DJ 6ix9ine and DJ what the fuck? It's at Ace Loans Pawn Shop on Platte. Dude, that's going to be some gutter shit. That's going to be fun as fuck. Come out to that. 8-7. Look me up on Spirit House Comedy on Instagram and I'll post that flyer. Because that's going to be crazy fun.
Absolutely. I feel you with the karaoke tracks, like I need the instrumentals, and that's like one of my all-time rules. Like you got to have an instrumental to rap on, even if the instrumental goes past your lyrics. I still love hearing acapella, even if it's like way past the beat. That's like Wu-Tang does that. It's still cool to me.
I'm not any expert in rap by any means, but I've been listening to rap music pretty much my whole life. And what I like, what gets me excited is a skillful rapper. somebody who can put down all their syllables, they're on beat, they're lyrical, they're hitting their shit. And if you don't even remember your own words, like I can't fuck with you. I'm not interested, you know. So step up your game, work on your cardio, and then we'll see you in a couple of years. You know what I mean?
Indeed. That's like how you guys like I look up to you like, you know, as I in that roast and I you used your phone of course, but you only were beginning to type like 15 minutes before the show.
Well, that's not entirely accurate, but roasts are usually done, it's like a one-off, so it's not material that you want to like memorize, So I usually give myself permission to have my phone or notes at a roast. Typically what I'll do is I'll print them out and I'll have them like in a nice folder, like a legal document. And then I'll make a big show of changing but for some reason I didn't pull it off for your roast.
It still turned out great though, and like I was trying to get like one of those things that you can put your notes on and everything like that, and it just I couldn't find one, and I did my best, but it turned out perfect. I think like all the jabs you took on everybody in the audience, and even when I call him Patrick because I can't call him the other word because we're sensitive now
because it's a racial slur.
Indeed.
And he knew what he was doing too when he picked that.
Indeed. So I just call him Patrick now, and even when he was going after that lady in the audience taking all those selfies, I'm like so ruthless. And now it's over 500 views now, and I just love it. And one of the best roasters I've ever seen, even beyond Comedy Central's productions.
Aw. Well, you're a narcissist, and it was about you, so it's fine.
Hey,
you can be biased. You can express your biased opinion. It's your platform.
Indeed. Now I feel all egotistical. But
we're in showbiz, dude. You're supposed to be egotistical. That roast, honestly, it really did some crazy shit for me as far as like becoming known locally, because I feuded with Josh Cooley for like 2 years after that roast.
Damn.
And we're cool now. Me and Josh have talked. Josh has been through an awakening, as have I. We're different people than we were back then, but wow, did that get heated. and I don't think either of us really came out of that looking good, but it kind of worked. I mean, it got my name out there. It was weird. It's true. Controversy sells,
Absolutely. Hopefully he still does stand up. Hopefully, everyone returns to stand up and all the beefs subside and all that stuff. And we can all gather at Sreth Fest and perform, because the more local comics I have that are reliable, that because you're my eyes and ears at the moment when it comes to like comics in town. Yeah. It's like, are these guys cool on stage and off stage too? And, will they get along with everybody? That's what I'm looking for.
Right.
I mean,
yeah, well, we can talk specifics one-on-one.
Indeed.
It's rough for comedy in general right now, but I think this time off has really kind of gotten me to a point where I'm trying to, if not necessarily let go of all my grudges, at least stop carrying them around so much and right up front. There's a lot of people that I've burnt bridges with, the ball's kind of in their court and they'll have to reach out to me if they want that to happen. But that's part of the territory when you're in one scene for 10 years. There's going to be people who rub each other the wrong way, but for me at least, it's all about putting on the best show possible. And I'm pretty passionate about my opinions when it comes to doing that. So I think that's one of the advantages of running my own show at the Spirit House, is I don't really have to run my decisions by anybody else. I pretty much do it how I want to do it, and Brian and Keith trust that I know what I'm doing, so they just kind of facilitate it for me. So it's wonderful.
Absolutely. I totally agree. It's like it's a blessing to be like a captain of your own ship, and having some folks that are like Brian and Keith that are 100%, on board and stuff like that, and all that good stuff.
Yeah, bro.
Indeed, and it's true what you said. Like, being like in a scene for 10 years is like it's just there's so much drama in the LBC, and that's why like I moved to Florida. I didn't have plans on moving here and just like spending like like a weekday in Jacksonville and a weekday in Daytona and Orlando, just like so that way I don't get bored with just one scene. Just go all
Right.
through triangles and they're all great scenes, by the way. But there's some dramas, of course.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm just on the outside looking in and not getting involved in their little tussles.
That's the way to be, dude. Like, I mean, I can't imagine. I can't even picture you having a beef with anybody or drama with anybody. You're just a sweet guy to everybody I've seen. I've never even seen you disagree with anybody. Um,
Indeed, I rarely do, but when there's beef, of course.
Yeah. Well, I
they
mean,
bring
traveling around is huge too. I mean, that's part of it. Like, I'm happy that I've made the connections I have in comedy because now I feel like I've got little outlets in different parts of the country where I can hit somebody up and go, "Yo, I'm going to be in your neighborhood. Can you put me on even a guest spot on some shit just so I can get my face out there?" Would be appreciated, and I can get that done. So, fingers crossed that comedy keeps going, man.
I hope so too. And do you have any shows that you have lined up that's in the future besides the Wrath Fest that you like to promote?
Well, Spirit House Comedy is coming back this weekend, July 18th. I have Charlie headlining. Next month in August, I believe it's August 15th, I have Shanae Ross headlining. So follow Spirit House Comedy on Instagram and Facebook for that. I am at John Brown Joker on Twitter if you want to see all the things that would get me fired or canceled. Every once in a while I'll go back through my Twitter history and I'll just retweet old tweets and be like, if in case anybody's trying to ruin my career, here's some old shit that I said. Because Twitter's like, I don't know. I'll put all my dark shit on Twitter, but Joker's High 66 on Instagram, I think. I don't know, man. Surratt's got all the stuff. All my shit's down here somewhere.
Absolutely.
Please subscribe, and Surratt will subscribe as well. I don't even know what this is, so I don't have any subscriptions on it.
For sure, that's for like a YouTube channel there, and
yeah. If I get any new Instagram followers on my Instagram or the Spirit House Comedy Instagram, I will follow those people back, and then I will send you one roast joke based on your Instagram posts. How about that?
That's perfect.
For every new follower, there's one new roast joke.
Who else are on the bill with you and Charlie and you and Shanae next month?
Well, I'm actually kind of working on nailing down a feature act for Shanae. But for me and Charlie this weekend, we have Lindsay Glazer is the feature and Tracy Kellett is the opener. Tracy Kellett's somebody you're going to want to talk to as well, Surratt. She's kind of a new comic in Colorado Springs, but she's very promising. She's a cool lady. And then next month with Shanae, I don't really have anything else booked. So, but quick shout out to John Bueno for doing the poster art for Spirit House Comedy every month. He's an excellent graphic designer, so you should hit up John Bueno here in Pueblo, and Charlie McMullen, who also does art for hire, did a couple of special edition posters for Spirit House Comedy this month that we're going to have for sale at the show. So I'll probably try to find a way to sell those online, anything that's left over, because we got to generate revenue wherever we can. But I feel like I'm boring the shit out of you because I'm just rambling.
You're totally fine. I totally agree with you with John Bueno and Charlie. He does all the artwork for this Wrath Fest like the past 4 years. This design for this year is super sick, by the way. Like,
yeah,
holy crap.
I like the crossover Cenobites and the Hunter S. Thompson as a Cenobite. Like, that's weird shit.
Indeed. I saw your Gonzo on your Twitter and your and I love Gonzo journalism and he's like a huge inspiration. Like Clive and Hunter are both like my inspirations to write and And so this scene that we're having is the White Rabbit scene in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Uh
So like the female Cenobite is having like the shower rod. She's holding the shower rod, poking it at the bathtub,
huh.
and Butterball's in the bathtub with like the Hellraiser box and like some grapefruits, and like Pinhead standing above the like right by next to the tub with his box, and
Nice.
and there's the engineer from like he was like traveling through the corridor in the hospital in the first
Yeah.
Hellraiser. He's chucking some grapefruits, and Chatterer has the radio and he's holding it above the bathtub.
Damn, man. You
Yeah,
guys threw the kitchen sink at it.
I'm
Is
sorry,
that out yet? Has that come out yet? Have you
not the
published?
design,
Oh,
but
okay.
we're gonna reveal it at the. I'm giving you some Easter eggs, but like on the bottom of the stereo or the radio is like white bunny ears, so that way it's
Yeah.
the White Rabbit,
Yeah.
And there's a sink in there, like I mentioned, and in the sink above the mirror is Candyman's hook coming through the mirror, because that's like phase 4
Oh, no
of
shit.
the universe there. So that's phase 4. So we're definitely going to do a lot more crossovers from like Clive's works and Hunter's works and see how that turns out. But they're all like my inspiration.
So you're gonna move me. Are you teasing a Candyman direction for next year's Wrath Fest? Is that what you're saying?
In 3 years, or in like the third phase, because like
Yeah.
I'm going to pay homage to Clive. The next phase after this is going to be Bill Murray in Hell. After this, in Hellraiser 2.
Yeah.
So like where the buffalo roam. So we're gonna do the crossover for that next phase, like later on down the road, and then we're gonna have like a Nightbreed crossover with Hunter and just all this other stuff.
Dude, I don't know how you guys come up with this shit. It's like there's 3 or 4 of us who even understand what you're doing, and it's like me, you, and Charlie, and I don't even know who else would get it. But I love it. I think this shit's great.
We're all out there. I love it because like everyone always like takes photos of their shirts, in their hoodies and their posters, and it just warms my heart that Charlie's artwork and like my mind is on them with his, and they're just everywhere, like in Thailand and Georgia and Chicago, just everywhere. And it's like, wow, we're getting all of our stuff out there. It's pretty rad.
Dude, Charlie's got multiple people have tattoos of his artwork. I have it. I have a tattoo of the Steel City stand-up logo that he designed when we first got started.
On your forearm, right?
Yep.
Pretty
good.
You
want to see it? I'll show it. It's right there.
That's
I don't know how cameras work.
pretty gnarly, dude. He's so awesome. I love the way that he drew, and he has my Stories on Sunset that he did with all the venues on the Sunset Strip. And just it looks like the Animal House poster and the Grandma's Boy movie poster. And we just like drew inspiration from that, and it's just I'll message it to you and let me know what you think. And it's super sick. I think you'll dig it. But yeah, thank you so much for taking time out to do the interview. I've held you for almost an hour, and it's so great to like deep dive into your career from like everything else that you've done, like with plays and stand up and film and all that good stuff, and music with the music video appearance. Didn't mean to go there with you, but I
don't care. It's fine. I talk about it, so it's fine. Thanks, man. This is great. It's good to talk to you, and I can't wait to see you in September.
Right back at you, John, and I'll see what's going on with my webcam, and we'll figure it all out for tomorrow. So,
all right, brother.
Always a pleasure, brother, and I'll see you in September, I hope.
Sounds good, man. Talk to you later.
Brother. Take care. You'll see you soon. Later.